When I first laid eyes on the Galaxy S25 Edge, I have to admit, I was genuinely impressed. It took me by surprise in the best way possible. But as I started digging deeper into the specifics, I couldn't help but ask myself, what's the point? The device turned out to be quite different from what we had anticipated based on earlier leaks. Even trusted sources like OnLeaks got it wrong. Their renders suggested something closer to an S25 with a slightly slimmer build. However, when Samsung officially unveiled the phone, it was obvious they had taken a completely different route. Let's give credit where it's due. The camera module on the S25 Edge actually looks sharp. Samsung's previous design had been around for so long that it had started to feel outdated. Don't get me wrong, when they first introduced that design, I was a fan. But after seeing it recycled across multiple generations, it became tiresome. So, I do appreciate that they've shaken things up a bit here. It's not revolutionary, but it's a welcome change. Initially, I was seriously considering picking up the S25 Edge when it launched. Samsung hasn't confirmed a release date yet, but an official hinted it could arrive in April or May. My excitement was building until the battery specs leaked. According to a 3C certification, the S25 Edge will pack a 3,900 mAh battery with 25W charging. For a phone that's likely larger than the base S25, which has a 6.1-inch display and a 4,000 mAh battery, this is a major disappointment. The S25 Edge is expected to have a 6.5-inch screen or bigger, so a 3,900 mAh battery feels like a compromise that's just asking for trouble. Samsung could have easily avoided this by adopting slim silicon carbon battery technology, which allows for higher capacities and smaller form factors. Chinese brands are already mass-producing devices with this tech, so it's puzzling why Samsung didn't take the leap. Given the S25 Edge's limited availability, it could have been the perfect testbed for this technology before a wider rollout, possibly in the S26 Ultra. But as usual, Samsung played it safe. It almost feels like they're waiting for Apple to adopt the tech first before jumping in, similar to how they finally released a slim phone after rumors of Apple's iPhone Air surfaced. Then there's the camera setup. Early leaks hinted that the S25 Edge might feature something close to an ultra-level camera system. But that's clearly not the case. It seems the phone will have a 200MP main sensor and an ultrawide camera as the secondary lens, and that's it. Just two cameras. This minimalist approach might work for Apple because, let's face it, their fanbase will buy almost anything with an Apple logo on it. But Samsung doesn't have that same level of loyalty. A dual-camera Android flagship in 2025? I never thought we'd see the day, but here we are. This brings us back to the bigger question, what's the point of the Galaxy S25 Edge? Is it just Samsung's attempt to compete with Apple's rumored slim iPhone? If so, they might have missed the mark. The iPhone Air is reportedly going to be around 5.5mm thin, which is incredibly slim. Sure, it'll have weaker specs compared to the S25 Edge, but its ultra-thin design will give Apple a unique selling point. Samsung, on the other hand, didn't go all in. The S25 Edge is thinner than most phones, sure, but not thin enough to stand out as a true slim phone. It's like Samsung tried to play both sides but ended up in no man's land. The S25 Edge isn't thin enough to be groundbreaking, nor is it practical enough to appeal to the average consumer.